you have seen?
Well, I'm here because we are seeing signs of a crisis deepening in the whole Sahel region and in particular here in Chad. And we have decided that we will do an early intervention to make sure that we prevent suffering before it is to happen. Here in Chad, there are four things that are hitting the country, but especially this border region next to Sudan and the Central African Republic. First is that everybody in the Sahel is exhausted by crisis after crisis after crisis. Especially the most destitute people in the most destitute regions, they simply have no time to recover and the next crisis hits. Second, instability surrounding Chad has pushed food prices up. Here in Chad, in average 12%, but the poorer the region, the more the impact, and for some people this is devastating. Third, Sudan is pushing people across the border, both those who run from violence, refugees, and Chadians who left Chad because of violence here but now find their own country more stable, so they return. And fourth, we see unfortunately ecological disasters being very dramatic, both droughts and floods. Now we are stepping into the rainy season. There are concerns that when the rainy season hits, if we don't have enough supplies prepositioned, that could be very dramatic. And I learned another thing that is actually quite important, that the Libyan crisis is still throwing a very deep shadow over the Sahel region. There are still people returning who used to be bread earners, and now there are extra mouths to feed. And for a destitute community, this is this last drop that makes life close to impossible. So we need to do more, and this is why I'm here.
That's why I wanted to ask, do you think enough is done to help all these people?
No, Chad is one of the countries that systematically does not get the attention it deserves from a humanitarian standpoint. We have right now at least 20% of the population in dire need of assistance. This is a country of 10 plus million, and the refugees that are coming. And yet humanitarian support is low. We have been the most determined partner of the Sahel region. We in the Commission, I am here to announce additional funding for the Sahel. For Chad, this would be additional 14 million euros, bringing our total for Chad this year to 37 million euros. This is significant, but I hope others would also step up to the plate. We are in the early stage of a crisis in the Sahel, and we must act now before it becomes more dramatic and more expensive to respond to. A child under the risk of malnutrition, we act early. We are now here in a malnutrition center. We act early. It costs 10 euros to save this child from basically life with no meaning. If we act late, it costs 200 euros. And I think it is very important to prevent suffering, but also, given that we in Europe have a crisis and money is hard to get, that we use it early. Unfortunately, prevention, yes, it is better than cure, but it is still easier to get money when it is late.
Sorry, I arrived late, so if you can repeat the first question, the situation in the region in the Chad.
The region is again on the doorsteps of a crisis. We see the early signs, increasing food prices, surprisingly high percentage of children that are severely malnourished already, and yet we had a good harvest this year. And the reasons for this crisis are multiple. One very important reason is that people in the Sahel have been hammered by crisis after crisis after crisis. And for the most destitute, for the poorest, 20-25% of the population, they simply have no time to recover and the next crisis hits. In 2010, they lost their livestock. They could not recover, and the 2012 crisis hit them. So now, when we have the second reason, which is more instability in the Sahel region, including on the doorsteps of Chad, we see that more refugees immediately create more difficult conditions. The third reason is that the region is being on the front line of climate change. Here, droughts and floods come more often, and they are much more severe. The Sahel got hit by 3 droughts in 7 years, 2005, 2010, 2012. They're supposed to come every 10-15 years. Now they're here every 2 years. And then during rainy season, it gets hit by floods that devastate communities and make very difficult for humanitarian assistance to get in. And the fighting in the Sudan, specifically here for Chad, Sudan and Central African Republic, has pushed across the border refugees as well as Chadians who run to Sudan for safety, but now they run back because conditions in Sudan have worsened. And all this together is the perfect storm coming to hit again the Sahel region. So we have to act early, and this is exactly what we do. We have increased our assistance for the Sahel region by 69 million euros, 14 million for Chad. And with this money, the allocation for Chad is now 37 million euros. We hope this money would prevent suffering when it is still time to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.